In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Broadcasting on almost 200 great radio stations across the greatest country on the planet. Welcome back to Gun Talk, the #1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. What do you think? 800-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom Gresham.
Ooh, let's have some fun talking about some guns. I got a lot of stories to talk about. We have some callers lined up. If you'd like to get in line, you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here, 866-TALK-GUN. Let's see, in about 25 minutes, we're going to be talking about the anti-gun industry's newest spokesman. I can't do this without smiling. I'm sorry, I just can't. I try to do it straight. I can't do it. Snoop Dogg. No. You can't make this stuff up. Swear. You just can't. Well, I don't want to give away the punchline on this thing. We'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour. Make a note. This coming Friday, March the 20th, Springfield Armory is getting ready for a new season with their XDS Spring promo. Now, this won't happen until this coming Friday, March the 20th. But on that day, you go to their Facebook page. You can find out all about the places where you can enter to win a bunch of cool XDS products. Or you can go to our Facebook page, Gun Talk Media, on Facebook, facebook.com/Gun Talk Media on the 20th. You can enter to win an XDS neon clock, uber cool for your gun room, hunting camp, whatever the heck it is, wherever you want to put it. I don't care. You can put it in your kitchen. If you can get your significant other to okay that one, boy, you have a career in sales. Go for it. That'll work for you. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Now, I do want to get to this. See this story here. Ohio Senate approves loosening rules for concealed weapons, permits, hunting silencers. You can hunt with silencers. This all comes to pass at a couple of weeks, a week or two. March 23rd. Thank you, Jim. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what I wanted to comment on was this newspaper story in the Cleveland paper. Listen to the headline again. And when you listen to it, think in terms of positioning. Positioning the message. Ohio Senate approves loosening rules for concealed weapons permits and hunting silencers. Now, it could also have been worded, I'm not saying that this is incorrect. It's not inaccurate, but it would be just as accurate to say, Ohio Senate approves strengthening gun rights, or approves removal of prohibitions on gun rights. But no. What we say is loosening rules. Which brings me to this thought. I want to put this in your head. You hear me talk about this a lot, and I know it sounds esoteric at times, but I think it's vitally important. And I talk about messaging. I talk about the message and the need for us to have good messaging. What does that mean? And why is it important? Let me connect the dots for you again. Messaging changes people's thoughts. Advertising works. We know if you go spend $100 million on an advertising campaign, you can get people to buy Coke or Big Macs or soap or whatever, right? So we understand that that form of messaging works to change people's opinions, their thoughts about things. Messaging can change people's opinions about issues. Take gun rights, for instance, or gun control, if you want. So if we message in a way that changes people's opinions, their thoughts, then they take that change of their opinions, the public's opinions, and that can and often does manifest itself it becomes public policy. That is the laws that we have, the gun laws we have, or gun control laws. So people's opinions can remove restrictions on gun ownership or put more restrictions on gun ownership. And what makes that happen? People's opinions. What changes people's opinions? Messaging. A friend of mine, actually it's Michael Bain, and you probably all know Michael Bain through his TV shows, told me some 10 years ago, he was talking to a media person that he knows who's not in the gun world at all. And he said, look, if I weren't around, I know you call me for information on guns. If I weren't around, who would you call for information? They said, well, we'd call the Brady campaign. He said, really? Why is that? I said, well, they told us that they would always give us the straight skinny on everything. Right. Okay. And then they told him something very interesting. They said, here's the thing, Michael. Because he asked the same question I ask all the time. Why don't you ever publish anything positive? Because there's all these positive stories about guns, whether it's youth shooting groups or safety training or people who use guns successfully in self-defense to save their lives, to save their children. Why don't you run those stories? And the answer was simple. It says, because I'll get fired if I do. I said, what? He said, we have an official policy at our paper. We don't run positive stories about gun rights or guns at all. And so one of the ways that we achieve that is if we're invited to an event where there might be something positive about guns, we don't attend. But our official policy is we don't publish anything positive about gun ownership. What's that about, do you think? At this point, we circle all the way back to messaging. Messaging determines public opinion. Public opinion determines laws. And the laws, of course, are what we live under. Now, I'm rereading a Brad Thor book. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Brad Thor is a really good novelist. I'll be actually doing an appearance with Brad Thor. If you're going to the NRA annual meetings, the NRA show in Nashville in a few weeks, there's going to be an event you're invited to. It is on the 10th, April 10th. You'll be able to join Brad Thor, Katie Pavlich, me, Dana Loach, Ted Nugent, and a bunch of others for a fun evening. This is to raise money. It's a fundraiser for the Crime Prevention Research Center. That's John Lott's group. Of course, John Lott, the great researcher, who's put so much information out that we use to further gun rights. April 10th, if you go to the crimepreventionresearchcenter.org or crimeresearch.org, that'll get you there. Information on that. That's April the 10th in Nashville at the NRA show. In his book, Blacklist, Brad Thor talks about changing the messaging, but in a very interesting way. And I had this thought myself some years ago, and I know people thought I was a little crazy because I talked about it on the air, and who knows, maybe I thought I was crazy, but I don't think I am at this point. If you were a billionaire who didn't like guns, could there possibly be one or more? And you wanted to change how people think about guns, stay with me now. It's going to get a little weird. What if you could change the algorithm of popular search engines on the web so that if you do a search for guns, gun crime, crime shooting, gun stats, whatever, the results you get are just somewhat slightly slanted toward more gun control, toward more quote-unquote universal background checks, toward anti-gun studies. After a while, after a few years, the constant drumbeat, the water drip, drip, dripping, it becomes one of those, it's like wallpaper. Everybody knows, it's always there. I've always read about it. I don't even know why I feel this way about it. But yes, it's clear that we probably should do something about this. And Brad Thor talks about that in his book, Blacklist. It's a very good book, by the way. If you like thrillers, Brad's books are very good. I toss it out there for your consideration. Yes, I understand. I do this in full knowledge that there are some who are going to say, Tom, you're going kind of off the deep end. You may be just a little bit on the crazy side. I don't think so. If it's possible, it's probably being done. 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here. 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit sigsauer.com today.
There's a rise in home invasions in America, and you need to be ready. Ready to protect yourself and your family. The bedside backup from Crossbreed Holsters keeps your gun at your bedside, ready to go. It also folds flat for easy storage and travel. Take it with you and use with any hotel bed. To see more, go to crossbreedholsters.com. That's crossbreedholsters.com. The bedside backup is not a child safety device.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. Shopguntalk.com.
Inaccurate is just plain worthless. Doesn't matter if you're shooting for a national championship or just trying to beat your friend. You need accurate ammo. Nosler's match-grade handgun ammunition delivers. You get Nosler sporting handgun and custom competition bullets in Nosler head-stamped brass, loaded to the same strict tolerances as Nosler's match-grade rifle ammo. Handgun accuracy through match-grade ammo. Available in 9mm, 40, and 45. Visit Nosler.com.
All right, back with you, 866-TALK-GUN. Yes, in about 15 minutes, we're going to have investment advice for you from Snoop Dogg. Yes, that's Snoop Dogg, about investing in gun companies. This is just so good. Can't wait. This is going to be fun. Line 3, Lee is with us out of Reno, Nevada. Hello, Lee, here on Gun Talk.
Howdy. Well, whatever you're paying your screener, you're not paying her enough.
Oh, don't say that out loud. She can hear you.
I know. What you managed to do, a mumbled and fumbled way, I was trying to get my question to you. She straightened me out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've always enjoyed like a Black Hawk for fun. There's nothing more fun than that. But then I got 40 caliber Glocks. I have 3 of them. 2 of the Mark 1s, and I went out and I got a Gen 4 because I thought it would fit my hand better. Well, I have a high power or a Colt 45 hand. I'm pretty small. And one of the things that's happened, I've got osteoporosis now in both wrists. And I am thinking about a 9mm, a Smith & Wesson that is ported. 9mm, and it's out of their custom shop. And I'm just wondering, I went out with a friend and fired his 9, and it was a lot easier than the 40, even cocking it. And but also, as I understand, I possibly could get a barrel and a top slide that would be ported for the 40, and I don't know if that would do enough.
Okay, let's address this. You are on the right path. Here's the problem. 40 caliber is my least favorite caliber of all the defensive calibers. It is, the term you hear a lot, and I think it's very accurate, is snappy. It really pops. It kicks a good bit more than a 45 ACP does, and it kicks way more than a 9mm. I think if you went to a 9mm with a ported barrel that would reduce the muzzle rise, you would feel like you had just died and gone to heaven. It is going to be such a sweet shooting, light kicking gun. Let me ask you this. Do you have a 1911? Do you like 1911s?
My brother-in-law had them, and I fired his, and my friend brought out a couple of 1911s a couple of weeks ago, and I fired those, and they were a lot easier to shoot than the 40. Okay.
Here's something you might want to try, if you're willing. A 1911 in a steel one, not an alloy one, a heavy gun, in 9mm is one of the sweetest shooting guns on the planet. And, most of the makers have them available now. Springfield Armory, SIG, I think Smith has them. But a 1911 and 9mm is just so sweet. But you're on the right track. Think 40s are just snappy. That's just the nature of the beast. And I would start probably trading those to get you some 9s. That's what I would do. I think that'll work for you with that arthritis.
Yeah. Okay. Now that Smith & Wesson MP, that's a polymer.
That's a polymer gun, but but here's the thing about the MP. It has interchangeable back straps on it, and you could swap them out. It comes with 3 different ones, small, medium, and large, and you can get one that fits your hand well, and that's going to help with the recoil also. I love the MP. It's a great pistol.
Yes. And I was thinking about steel now. Do they make something that's steel like that? What I liked about it was it had a 5-inch barrel. And I don't need to hide anything. I like a larger pistol.
And the longer the barrel, the heavier the gun, the less it's going to recoil. That's why I'm kind of driving you to a steel 1911, a full-size 1911 5-inch barrel. Oh, my gosh, those in 9mm, just no kick at all. Try that, Lee. I think that's going to help you a lot. And once you do me a favor. Call us back and let us know how it works out for you. Man, I appreciate the call, sir. Bill is on line 1 out of Spokane, Washington. Hello, Bill. You're on Gun Talk.
Oh, I think she meant Dale.
Hey, Bill.
Sorry about that.
Oh, Dale. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, 2 questions. One gun's old, one gun's older. Ruger, about a 1958 Mark I with the bull barrel. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is a Winchester Pump 22 long. Not long rifle, but long. Mm-hmm. Question number 1, that Ruger, is it going to be, and again, bull barrel, is that going to be safe to run like the Mini-Mag 22s in it? The standard Velocity 22s getting a little more expensive, a little harder to find.
Should be okay with almost anything you can put in there. I don't think you're going to hurt that gun at all, shooting any long rifle ammo in it. So okay. I think it will work.
Excellent. Okay. Second question, does anyone out there have a reliable source for 22 long ammunition? Not long rifle, but long. I've tried internet search, and they just don't deliver on that. This Winchester pump is about, I know it's over 75 years old, and just want to, guns are made to be fired. They're not made to just sit there and...
Right. Okay, here's the deal. 22 long has the same length case as a 22 long rifle. The difference is the 22 long originally came with a lighter weight bullet. You should, in theory, be able to shoot long rifle in your long. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. Now, there are companies, CCI list the long, Aguila list making the long. Finding the ammo is the issue, because I guarantee you right now, they're all trying to make as much long rifle as they can, and they're not going to stop the assembly line. I mean, if I heard the numbers right, last week somebody told me that Remington makes 7 million rounds of 22 ammo every day. So they're cranking out long rifle. It's going to be hard to find long, but because the case is the same length and it's a pump, the problem with the long doesn't have enough power often to work a semi-auto. But I don't think it's going to be a problem shooting a long in a long rifle. I mean, I haven't done it, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So just, my thoughts on that. But yeah, you know what? I'll put out the call here for you. If anybody knows a source for 22 long rifle, not long rifle, but long, call me, 866-TALK-GUN. I would love to know that. Let's see. Justin's on line 4 out of Granite City, Illinois, talking about training. Hey, Justin.
How you doing, sir? I want to call and actually, I had a situation happen to me about 2 weeks ago, and I want to thank you again for stressing the training that you do. I was sitting at home about 7:15 at night. All of a sudden, the car alarm goes off outside, and I realized it was my vehicle. And before I knew it, I don't even remember going from my recliner to the vehicle. And it's literally, it just happened so quick. It just felt natural. All of a sudden, I was just there. And when you talk about muscle memory, you only do what you've been taught. And that is 100% correct. My wife pops her head out the door, hey, what's going on? Is anybody out here? And, I'd tell her, hey, watch the back door. This could be a distraction. I don't know. I think the one mistake I really did was not, having her call the cops right off the bat. But I definitely want to thank you for pushing the training, because looking back, I should have had her call the cops before anything else.
Let me ask you, when you went out to your car, did you take a gun with you?
Well, yes. If I'm not at work, asleep, or in the shower, it's on me. And now that wasn't my first thought. That was not my first thought, was go for the gun. My first thought was get a flashlight, look underneath the vehicles. If somebody's there, just at least identify. I wasn't going to drop somebody to, hold them for the cops, whatever else. If somebody's out there, they can go. I don't care. Take what you want. I just want to be able to identify you. And so, did I make a mistake going out? Or, did it sound like I did at least a decent job in doing it, or should I have gone a different direction? Right.
Well, it's hard to say, because, of course, when your car alarm goes off, my first thought is, it's something that's haywired and my car, I've hit the button on my car, a remote alarm or something. I would probably try to turn it off from inside the house, see if that works. My first thought is probably not that there's somebody trying to get in. Running out there, I think I might have been a little bit more reluctant. I wouldn't just go fly outside, because I don't know what's going on. You're rushing into 3 dudes out there, and now we've got a problem. Basically, you've run yourself into a place where you might have to use your gun, whereas we really would like to be avoiding that. So you might just want to, all of us, think through, okay, if something like that happens, what would I do? There's no need to rush out there. Your car is covered by insurance, right? If somebody's broken into your car, you can call the insurance company and say, guess what happened to your car? But rushing into a place where there could be bad guys, I think that might require a second or maybe even a third thought before we want to go there. Then we come back, we'll talk about getting your investment advice from Snoop Dogg. Yes, I said that. We'll be right back.
Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, we're back with you, having some fun over. We goof off during the break, okay? If you want a sense of what we do during the break, it's also kind of what we do during the after show. If you want to pick that up, it's done as a podcast. You can pick it up. Let's see, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. You can go to our website, guntalk.com. A lot of ways to get. Obviously, you can get the Gun Talk radio app for your smartphone, available for both Android and iPhone, and that will get you the podcast. And you can listen to the after show, where we actually just talk about a lot of stuff that may or may not have to do with guns. You just never know where we're going to go. Speaking of things that may or may not have to do with guns, through the years, one of my favorite writers is David Codrea. He is got the website War on Guns. He writes for Examiner.com. He writes for a number of different magazines. When it comes to writing about gun rights in an incisive and decisive way, David Codrea is the guy. He joins us right now. Hey, David, how are you?
Tom, I'm doing well, except I'm feeling a little old based on what we're getting ready to talk about here.
No. This is, okay, we rarely get to do anything this much fun. We don't get to talk about Snoop Dogg and gun rights at the same time, do we?
I'm just kind of feeling like my father, back when he came into my room as an adolescent and I had long hair and I'm listening to music he didn't approve of, but it certainly has come a long way since those days, has it not?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you have this article that came out last week. Snoop Dogg dispenses investment advice in hashtag I'm Unloading campaign. So first of all, what is the hashtag I'm Unloading campaign?
It is a media campaign that is basically urging people to disinvest their 401ks from gun companies, because these are people who don't like guns and they want to see guns go away, and what they can't get through the legislature and what they can't get through the courts, they're going to attack economically. And so what they're doing is they're trying to convince investors to divest gun-related companies from their 401k retirement portfolios.
Like if you had bought, say, Ruger at the first of this month, by now you would have almost doubled. Well, let's see, not double. You'd have at least had a 50% increase. I mean, it's a huge increase. I don't know what the numbers are, but so they want you to get rid of your stocks in gun companies, because what they're hoping to do is they want to bankrupt. They want to put the gun companies out of business, right?
Well, that's absolutely right, and we see the assault economically in many ways. You know, we saw the Operation Choke Point, where the government was going after banks and trying to convince them that certain firearms transactions are the equivalent of using an escort service or pornography or something seedy to number one, basically attack gun owners as being part of some kind of sinful, shameful exercise, and number two, of course, to make things economically as harassing as they possibly can. So, yeah, basically I think what the campaign that Snoop Dogg is involved with is trying to do is, I guess, keep people from basically supporting businesses that, number one, help preserve freedom, provide millions and millions of Americans with, not only protection, but sporting purposes as well, and basically just to diss that. And that's what he's doing. But the interesting thing is, it's not just Snoop Dogg, because you peel back the layer and you start finding these national gun control groups behind it, including, they try to hide themselves. But if you start peeling back and listening and tracing things through, you can find this lady who works for Michael Bloomberg. Surprise, surprise.
Fiore. Yep.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right, what is Snoop Dogg's, the rapper's, role in all of this?
He basically appears to be a front man. As far as I can tell, he holds a sign that says hashtag I'm Unloading, and then he appears with some other people that I've never heard of, and they talk about all the problems that guns cause. For instance, Snoop wants to say, well, he's lost all these associates and friends and family members, and some other guy says, well, I left the party, and 15 minutes later they were shooting it up, and my first reaction is, you know what, I've been around a long time. I don't have any friends, families, and associates, that have been killed through gang activities, and as many parties as I've been to, none of them have been shot up with me either there or after I've left. So maybe I'm hanging around with the wrong people, or maybe they are.
Is it not true that Snoop Dogg is actually not legally allowed to own, load, or unload a gun?
Prohibited person, Snoop Dogg, who has been, arrested with guns after he was already prohibited, who was involved in a murder where a guy in their car was killed, and they said that, well, it was because he was trying to kill them, and it was Snoop and his driver, bodyguard, and they got off on a long, convoluted defense with Johnny Cochran. At least Snoop did, but he's got enough drug and gun convictions to where he himself is a prohibited person. So what we're talking about is a felon for gun control, if you will.
Another felon for gun control. Now, David, you mentioned, and I'm glad you brought it up, the Operation Choke Point, which was a government operation to try to shut down gun stores and businesses involved with guns. But actually, this whole business goes further back. When you think about the lawsuits that were filed by, I think it was 32 cities against the firearms industry, against gun companies, and they said, look, here's the deal. We are going to use government dollars from our cities to sue gun companies to hold them liable for crimes committed in our cities. And the whole deal was they were very open about it. I thought it was beautiful. They've gotten a little bit smarter, but they were stupidly beautiful at the point because they said, our goal is to destroy the gun industry because they don't have enough money to defend themselves against all these lawsuits. In other words, we don't care if we win. We just know that just the very act of pursuing these lawsuits will destroy the firearms industry, and that is our goal.
And that has always, of course, been the goal. When they come on and they tell you, well, we're all about common sense gun safety, you yourself know that these people know nothing about gun safety. They don't teach gun safety. Their original mission, as articulated by Nelson Pete Shields, who founded what later became the Brady campaign, was that they wanted to ban handguns. And, of course, they since then have added all kinds of different guns to the list. They want to do that. They'll take it a bite at a time, but in the meantime, they will take the low-information voter who only believes what he hears on ABC News or CNN or MSNBC, and they will present themselves as gun safety advocates. But yes, they want to destroy us by any means possible. We had the Lawful Protection and Lawful Commerce Act to try to halt these lawsuits, yet the Brady campaign is still going forward with some as we speak.
Absolutely. Hey, David, hold on a second. We'll take a quick break. We're talking with David Codrea. If you'd like to join the conversation, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham, and you're listening to Gun Talk.
You may be a new shooter, a longtime gun owner, or even a police officer or soldier. No personal defense handgun is fully equipped without a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge, Crimson Trace.
The Black Hills. There's nothing like it on Earth. The kind of place where characters become legends. Wild Bill Hickok, Crazy Horse, Calamity Jane. Pick any part of the world and you'll find people go there to make it their own. But this is where people come to get made. This is the place that made the people who make the best ammo on Earth. Black Hills Ammunition.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. Dury'sGuns.com. All right, welcome back to Gun Talk. We're talking with David Codrea. He is, of course, the Gun Rights Examiner, also has the blog, the webpage, War on Guns Rights. David, what magazines are you writing for these days?
Guns Magazine. Real simple, real simple to remember.
We ought to be able to remember that one. Guns. Okay, we like guns. So how long have you been writing about guns now?
Oh, gosh. I think professionally since 1999. Just as a pain in the neck since long before that.
So you were a pain in the neck before you were a professional pain in the neck.
Exactly. Somebody said, well, you know what, we're going to pay you to be a pain in the neck for us. So I said, okay, that's cool.
You know, what they say, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. So there you go.
Something like that, yeah.
Hunter Thompson, there you go. So, all right, so we're talking about Snoop Dogg giving us investment advice and saying you should divest from these gun companies. But this is actually just a part of an ongoing messaging campaign. And I've gotten on this kick of trying to explain to people that this is a messaging war, is it not?
Oh, absolutely. It's a messaging war. Every time you turn around, you're getting it from a different angle, whether it's through the culture, whether it's through a movie. Like they had the American president with Michael Douglas, and he's doing all these, great gun control laws that never have any bearing on the real world effects or the commitment people like us have. I did a piece a while back for Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, and I was talking about cartoons. I mean, because there was this, I forget the newspaper, and they had their pro and anti-gun cartoons, and there might have been one marginally pro-gun cartoon for about every 50 anti-gun cartoon, and essentially what they did was they dehumanized us. And writing for Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, I was able to take some of the characteristics and techniques that they used and take it back to Nazi art. I mean, everybody says, well, you're making an unfair comparison there, but when you have newspaper editorials treating us like cockroaches within editorial cartoons that represent NRA members as cockroaches scurrying under rocks, that makes us vermin. And I think that the comparison applies when you take a look at the cultural war that is waged at us by the entertainment industry that goes on top of the political and legal challenges.
You can't get someone to hate someone else unless you can somehow minimize or marginalize that group. And that takes me to the next thing I was going to ask you about, this so-called study/survey that came out that says that fewest number of people in American history own guns. That's part of this marginalization campaign. We know it's not true, but it is. There's a reason behind this release of this study.
Essentially, they're trying to say, well, we don't matter that much, and we're outnumbered, and basically get the philosophy that we live in a pure democracy, I guess, where rights can be voted on. I saw a very promising article my wife forwarded to me that NSSF and other groups have been very successful at getting colleges interested in the shooting sports. And there's a team now at MIT with all these bright kids that are really getting into it and discovering that, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool. And they're starting to love it. And this is a growing trend on colleges nationwide. And this, Tom, is exactly what we need, because I'm sure, like me, you've been to Tea Party meetings and other things like that, and you've seen the number of gray hairs in the audience, and as you start getting down by the decade, you see fewer and fewer. And the young people are the future. I just absolutely encourage things like campus concealed carry movements and parents that lovingly teach their children true firearm safety, not this avoidance stuff that the antis are a part of.
Exactly right. And, when you take anybody but a young person and you expose them to shooting and they go out and they shoot and they have fun, especially if they become a competition shooter, you vaccinate that person for life against the lies that guns are bad, because their own experience, their personal experience, trumps what they're being told.
Tom, I remember being out at a range in California, that this place that I belong to, and this hiker came by from the other direction, a Santa Monica liberal. I invited him to shoot with me, and he just was like a kid in a candy store afterwards. He would see me, wave to me, call my name, and then a friend, her brother was an executive with Isuzu from Japan, came here. I took them to the range, and again, talk about this high-powered Japanese executive who's only seen guns in movies. He was grinning ear to ear. He loved it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, David, look, I hate to do it. We're against the clock here. I got to run. Let me do this. It's David Codrea, and check it out. All you have to do is do a search for Gun Rights Examiner. You'll see his work. Go to waronguns.com. You'll see his work. Trust me, when you start reading David, you can't get enough of it. The guy can just flat write. Thank you, David. I look forward to seeing you out at the NRA show, I'd imagine. All right, 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. When we come back, we'll take your calls, comments, and your range reports. talking about the way the movies portray gun ownership and how they position it. But look, it's not an accident. There's actually a website and an organization that feeds anti-gun plots to people who make movies and TV shows. And they have sample script treatments, and you go there and you can pick them up and drop them into, and you can just make a TV episode, or you can make a movie out of it. Think about this. The movie, well, first there was the novel Runaway Jury by John Gresham. It was about the tobacco industry. But when that novel became a movie, it was not about the tobacco industry anymore. It became about the firearms industry. In the movie American President, the great upstanding American president takes a stand against the firearms industry. Think about this. Who have you ever seen doing recreational shooting in movies in the last 30 years, 40 years? Almost universally, it's criminals who are out shooting trap or skeet. Or it's like one movie I was asked, the only movie I was ever asked to be in, and they sent me the script, and the camera pans from a guy cleaning his rifle up to the wall, and there are all sorts of heads of animals up there. Well, he was an assassin. He was a bad guy. And they establish he's a bad guy by the fact that he has animals on the wall and he's doing something with a firearm. The movies basically just inherently believe, and I talked to the producer of this movie. I said, I'm not going to be involved in this. I won't do it. I said, because it's bigoted. I won't be involved in bigoted things. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you show that if somebody has a gun and they're a hunter, they're a bad guy. And you go, well, yeah. Absolutely did not have any idea what I was talking about. It is an ongoing, orchestrated campaign to show recreational shooting and legal gun ownership in a bad light as a way of changing the way people, the public, thinks of guns and gun owners. Simple as that. I got to get Mark in here very quickly. Line 3, Coos Bay, Oregon. Thanks for your patience, Mark.
Hey.
How you doing?
I heard you talk earlier that you're going to be doing a segment on recoil reduction. And
yes.
I do quite a bit of muzzle brakes out here. And I just wanted to say I've got some real pet peeves about a lot of muzzle brakes out there. A lot of them look real cool, but they don't do the job that they're intended to do. And people are coming at me with this a lot. They're buying the heavier calibers and saying, well, I need to reduce this recoil. And some of the muzzle brakes out there, if they've got holes drilled in them 360 degrees around the circumference of the brake, they aren't really doing what they're supposed to do. Mostly you got to think in terms of physics and jet propulsion, in terms of what you're trying to make that rifle do when the bullet exits the barrel. And
well, it depends. If you want to just if you just want to hold the muzzle down, then you can shoot the gases up. It's fluid dynamics, and then you have that jet propulsion that holds it down. But if you want to actually reduce the recoil, there are ways to do that with holes drilled around the muzzle brake. It depends on what you're trying to do.
Muzzle climb is what you're doing away with, And there's a few of them out there on the markets that are actually putting angles into the vents that do more of a better job of what you're trying to do.
Right.
The other thing is the stock drop and length of pull come in, and the factors being played to in there that isn't considered a lot of the time. If people don't have the correct length of pull. Yeah,
I agree completely. I mean, and I talked about that. The stock design, the gun fit is a big part of it. And the other thing, I'm just going to say this right out there. Most people, if they're worried about recoil in their rifles, they're shooting a gun that's too big and they don't need that. If you're not shooting something that bites back, grizzly bear or something in Africa, you don't need a great big gun. You don't need a heavy kicking gun. Any elk out there I can kill with a 270. I could kill it with a 25-06, but a 270 would be a good choice. You don't need a big old 300 Magnum booming blaster. You don't need a 338 Lapua to shoot an elk, for heaven's sakes. If you want to reduce recoil, get a gun that kicks less. Physics. How about that? We'll be right back.